Okay, this is Tuesday, the 1st of September. And what we're learning today is solving quadratics by factoring. So, the whole idea is we want to be able to find what makes the quadratic equal 0. Now, if you think of a graph, when we're thinking of a graph, what makes a quadratic equal 0 is the place where the graph touches the x-axis. So that means right here and right here. What we're looking for is when is the parabola equal to 0. So up here the parabola is equal to, let's say, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right here the parabola is equal to 4. Over here the parabola is equal to 4. Right? Down here the parabola might be equal to -3 down here. But here is the place, the x-intercept is the place where it's equal to 0. So what we're looking for today when we find these solutions are what are the x-intercepts. That's exactly what we're finding. The x-intercepts. So, let's start. First one is x squared plus 24x plus 23 equals 0. Okay, so if you remember factoring, we did factoring last week and then we took a day off and now we're back in factoring again. We took the weekend off and then we're back in factoring again. So we have to find the numbers that multiply to be there we go, to be 23, and they have to add up to be 24. Right? And what we're doing is we're adding the inside and the outside together. So this is what we're doing. FOIL, just like we did yesterday, except we're not doing the front and the back. We're just doing the inside, adding the two middle ones together. Okay, so we know what multiplies to be the front is x times x. X times x is the only way to get x squared. And then to get 23, there's only one way to get 23 as well. 1 times 23. Right? Well, that's super cool because when you add the inside, that's 1x, plus the outside, that's 23x. 23x's plus 1 more x's would be 24x's. Hey, that's what I want. So this is the factor. We got the factor, but we didn't solve it yet. We're looking for what are the x-intercepts. Where does this parabola cross the x-axis? Right? And so what we did the other day, just Friday I think it was, you were saying x minus 1 equals 0, and x plus 1 equals 0, and x plus 23 equals 0. And you said, well, what makes this true? Well, x has to equal, what's that, -1, or x has to equal, subtract 23, -23. Remember, that's what we did. This is the answer to the question. So, just to remind you again, on Friday, you subtracted 1, you got that. You subtracted 23, and you got that. That was the answer. Let's try another one. What if we had a problem like this? X squared plus 17x equals 0. Now there's not 3 parts. 1, 2, 3. Here, this one had 3 parts. This only had 2 parts. Right? So we have to look for something special going on here. And in this case, there is something common. What is common? I'll bet you can see it, right? they both have an x. So I'm going to take the x out. And then if I take an x out of here, remember there's two x's there, so if I take an x out of there, there's still an x left. If I take the x out of here, there's only 17 left. Right? Now, on Friday, you said, well, I know that means x equals 0 or x plus 17 equals 0. And then you just had to subtract 17 and x equals negative 17, right? So the two answers to the problem, let me write it like this, because this is the way you have to write it on IXL. You're going to be answering, the first answer is 0, the second answer is negative 17, right? Now then, whoa, I dropped it. I dropped my item. When we get to Khan Academy, they're going to ask you, they know there are two answers. They're going to say, tell me the smaller one. Well, this is the smaller one. Negative numbers are smaller than positive numbers. So negative 17 would be the small one, and then the larger answer would be that. Let's do it again. What if we had x squared minus 6x minus 16? Now then, remember your first step is to factor what multiplies, I'll put the m right there and an a right there and an m right there. So what multiplies to be the front? Well, that's easy. What multiplies to be the back? Well, now we got lots of ways to get negative 16. We could do negative 1 and 16. We could do negative 2 and 8. We could do negative 4 and 4. We could do negative 8 and 2. Or we could do negative 16 and 1, right? All of these ways multiply to be negative 16. But only one of them adds up to negative 6. Do you see which one? Okay. Can't be that one. Can't be that one. Has to be this one. Negative 8 and positive 2. Okay? Those are the factors. Those multiply to be 16 and they add up to be negative 6. But remember, the answers are the opposite of this. What makes this equal 0? Well, positive 8 minus 8. So one of the answers is positive 8. And we put a comma. And then what's the other answer? Well, the other answer is negative 2. So there's two answers to the question. The x-intercept, the place where the parabola crosses, is negative 2 right here, and positive 8 over here, right? That's what happens. Now, sometimes they're both on the negative side. Sometimes there are one's in the middle, one's at 0, and the other one's on the negative side, or on the positive side, really. Yeah. Okay, we did all those. We didn't get any fraction answers. So let's do some that have fraction answers. And see if you remember those, huh? Okay, we'll leave all that because that's still true. We are still looking for the x-intercept, even if they're fractions. No problemo. So here we go. What if we started with something like this? 3x squared minus 20x and then minus 7. Okay. Alrighty. So what we are trying to do is find the number that multiplies to be this. Alright, so we want to multiply to be the front, we want to multiply to be the back, and then we're going to add the inside and the outside together to get negative 20. So let's see if we can do that. So there's only one way to get 3, that's 3 times 1. And to get x squared, we know that's x times x. So it has to be, that's the beginning part. To get that front piece, we have to have these two pieces. And then to get negative 7, it could be positive 1 times negative 7, or it could be negative 1 is positive, right? That's the other. That's what we have to decide, right? So you say, well, these have to be 20. No, these numbers don't add up to 20. It's when you put them in here, the inside plus the outside has to be 20. So let's just try one. We'll try the first one, see if we're lucky or not. Remember, if you're lucky, the first one you work, and if you're unlucky, the last one try work. Check. What are we looking to see? This positive 1 times 1 is 1x, and this negative 20x. 1 minus 1, hey, that'd be negative 20. Hey, so those factors we did the first time. Hallelujah. The factors. Remember, that's not the answer to the question. I want to know where this parabola cross the axis. That's what I'm looking for. What numbers make 0? So I have to do just like we did the other day. Plus 1, 0, and we put the dotted line right here. And then x minus 7 equals 0. Well, this one's x, right? And then this one, you have to subtract 1 from both sides. And then you have to divide by 3. Ooh. So x is, and we'll put a little box on it so you know it's the answer. Negative 1/3. See, I subtracted the 1, then I divided by 3. So there's two answers. This below right here, this right here crosses negative 1/3. X is 0. And then it goes down, 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 and then it back up, and it crosses over here at positive 7. That's what it's saying. Let's try another one. How about this one? This one's messy, but you can do it. Okay, this is one of those that has something, and there's no number that divides both those numbers. The number that's is x. So if I take x out of here, there's 2x. Take 1 away, I'm still left with 2 and then the x. But if I take that x away, there's only a number by itself. You can take the x out. That's what we just did. Now then, we know that this x equals, that's easy, but this one, holy smokes, look at that. But it's like the one we did over there. You have to add 23. That goes that away. You have 42x equals 23. You have to divide 42. Well, I can do that. So, see, so the answer B, we'll put a little box here, 0, comma, you have to write 23 divided by 42. Nothing to it. Easy. Well, we got one more. Let's got time for one more. Let's do it. Do it to it. Okay. So what if we'll put a little of this so we know we're doing different, right? What if we had squared 144? Now that's a special case. For week we did special case. Factored. I know to use square roots. So what's the root of 144? That's 12. One of them's positive 12 and one of them's negative. How do I know that? 12 times 12 is 144. If I want it to be negative, I have to have a positive times a negative to make negative. And then they add up to be the middle. Remember, we had to add up to be 20. But look, negative 12 and negative 12 add up to be 0. So there's nothing there. Okay. So that's it. That means the two answers are negative 12 and positive this is the way like on IXL today. After you solve the problem, factor it on paper, because they don't give you space to factor it. Whenever they give you the place and they say factor it, there's not, or solve it by factoring, they don't let you write down your factors. So you have to have a piece of paper out and ready to go, and then you factor, and then you write down the answer. Right? The answer is all they want. So they give you this, you have to work this out on your paper, and then you type this into the calculator, into the computer. Right? We're talking about IXL. They give you this, you have to work this out on your paper, then when you're finally done, you write the answer. That's what we're doing. That's all we're doing. And that, now you're ready for today's homework on the 1st of September. Okay? Goodbye.